In today's video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to remove late payments from your credit report step by step. In fact, what I'm about to share with you is how I exactly did it with my clients. What's up, winners? My name is Nam. If you're new here, welcome. Here we talk all things personal finance and credit. Start now by subscribing so you don't miss out on any future videos. So let me explain who is this video exactly for. This video can apply to anyone, but individuals who have less than excellent credit will benefit from this the most. If you have a 720 or less, each point on your credit score can have a dramatic effect on whenever you are trying to get a loan, get a new credit card, interest rates, and so much more. Having a great credit score can save you tens of thousands of dollars and even more over your lifetime. So before I actually go over the step-by-step process, let me give you guys a quick breakdown of what a late payment is and how it affects your credit score. Your FICO score comprises of 5 key items, and the most important is your payment history. Your payment history is 35% of your FICO score. To put that into perspective, FICO credit scores range from 300 to 850. So that means there are 550 points in between. 35% of 550 is going to be roughly around 190 points. This is why when you have a late payment, this can drop your score by more than 100 points. There are 4 common types of late payments: 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and 120-day late payments. But sometimes it can go all the way up to 180 days. Usually anything longer than 120 days will typically become a charge-off. This is when a lender halts your account until you pay, and if you don't, they'll just sell that debt to a collection agency. But obviously, the longer the late payment, the more it has a negative effect on your credit score. As with most negative marks on your credit report, late payments can stay on your credit report for at least 7 years from the date that you missed your payment. So for instance, let's just say that you have a late payment in April of 2022. April of 2029 is when the late payment will be removed from your credit report. Also, depending on the late payment that you have, it will affect you in different ways. For instance, if you have a late payment that's on an auto loan or a lease, this will heavily affect your auto FICO scores. It's probably going to be very difficult to get a lease or tier 1 financing if you were trying to get a car. The same goes for loans and credit cards. I'll first go over open accounts, but if you have late payments on closed accounts, that will be addressed later in the video. First and foremost, you will need to get a copy of your credit report. Credit reports are available from a variety of companies such as ScoreMaster, IdentityIQ, or MyFICO.com. The disadvantages of these services is that you gotta pay, and if you don't cancel your subscription, you'll be billed indefinitely on a monthly basis. If you have yet obtained your yearly credit report, you can go to annualcreditreport.com where you can obtain a free credit report from each one of the 3 credit bureaus. As a side note, currently you can pull your credit report on a weekly basis, but normally it's only yearly. It's critical to have a current credit report on hand in case that you need to dispute the late payment. I don't advocate on using services like Credit Karma in this scenario, since they won't present you with all the information that you need to file a dispute. Plus, you won't get access to information from all 3 of the credit bureaus. So it is best to actually get it directly from the source, or if you just want your credit scores, go with one of the pay services mentioned before. Before we move on, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Upstart. If you are looking for a loan but still on your credit building journey or have limited credit, Upstart can help you out. It can be hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you have high interest debt, and sometimes it can be even harder to ask for help. That's where Upstart comes in. Upstart knows that you're more than just a credit score, so rather than looking at your credit score alone, Upstart model considers other factors like your income, employment, and other information provided in your loan application to find a smarter rate for your loan. You can check your rate in minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000 without impacting your credit score. You can even receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Don't wait to check your rate today at upstart.com/nam. That's upstart.com/nam to check your rate today. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know that we sent you. Go to upstart.com/nam. Once you pulled your credit report, I would definitely recommend trying to dispute the late payment. So before I say anything further, I do not advocate or condone lying or stating that negative information is inaccurate when you know that they are indeed accurate late payments. But this is a huge but. If late payments contain any mistakes such as dates, accounts, and account information, you can dispute these late payments as erroneous. Even if you recall paying off your credit card bill in 29 days rather than 30 days, then this information is incorrect and you can dispute it. Believe it or not, inaccurate information is frequently reported. About 1/3 of all Americans have errors on their credit report. So to know what to look for, let me give you an example of how to compare credit reports to know what to dispute in the first place. The first thing that you want to know is that you want to make sure that your personal information is correct. If you are recently divorced or have multiple last names or a new address, Just make sure that the information is corrected on your credit report. People have asked me if I was recently divorced or married, would a change in my last name help me get a late payment removed? To be completely honest, this is not that good of a strategy since your credit history is already tied to your social security number. And if you have previous names before, it already should be listed in your personal details. But having up-to-date personal information is a key component in closed accounts. When you review your credit report, you really gotta comb through the fine details because you wanna make sure that information is correct amongst all 3 credit bureaus. And if one of them is not right, either that one is correct or the other 2 is incorrect. So let me give you an example of an installment account. Right away, when you look at the payment history with the colored chart, there are discrepancies there. So you have good chances of getting something removed. Now, let's go up to the account information. The account status between all 3 credit bureaus are labeled something different. TransUnion is calling this account closed, Experian is calling this account derogatory, and Equifax is calling this account as paid. So it is possible that all 3 of these are incorrect. The date open shows different dates, but that really shouldn't matter as much as long as it's within the same month because it really just depends on the reporting. But as you can see here, the number of months, terms, Equifax is labeled as 0. Most likely this account is incorrect. So if you were to go down to payment status, Experian has this late for 180 days. And when you look down further when it says date of last payment, TransUnion and Experian shows that the last payment was back in July. Meanwhile, Equifax has the last payment in October. So there's a lot of red flags with this credit report. This is just an example of how to review it since everybody's situation is a little bit different. When you are reviewing your late payments, just look for any discrepancies between the 3 credit bureaus. Now, once you review your report and you have an idea of what you need to dispute, now let's talk about the disputing process. There are a couple routes that you can take. You can do it either online or by mail. I honestly recommend doing it by snail mail because you are protected under the Fair Credit Reporting Act when you do this. Whenever you do dispute online, it may be quicker, but you're usually signing away certain rights when you do so. So just be aware of that. Down below will be a sample dispute letter that you can use and just modify it to your own personal situation. It is best just to keep it simple, factual, and straight to the point. Do not try to beg or explain your situation in the dispute letter because this is going to be sent directly to the credit bureaus. They can really care less about your situation. All they really care about is if the information is reported correctly. So before you send off this letter, there are a few things that I would recommend doing. First is by placing a security freeze with some of the most common public record credit bureaus such as LexisNexis, SageStream, and Innovis. The first 2 companies, LexisNexis and SageStream, can be frozen at one place. It's pretty straightforward. I'll just link it down in the description so you can do it. Make sure that you receive an email or a mail confirmation that your accounts have been frozen, which can take anywhere between 72 hours all the way up to 30 days before moving on to the next step. If you don't hear anything back within the next 3 weeks, then start sending out the letters anyways, because it can take some time for the letters to actually reach the credit bureaus. Now, once you have those security freezes in place, it is time to prepare your letter. All you really need to do is include the account's name, account number, and the reason on why you are disputing. This can be pretty simple, such as payment history is incorrect, please remove, or late payment was never late, please remove. So you get the gist. Whenever you do send a letter to the credit bureaus for the first time, just make sure that you include a picture of your photo ID, recent utility bill, and sometimes also include a copy of your social security card. The reason behind this is that the credit bureaus want to make sure that they have the right person when they are updating your credit report. So if you do have a common name, it is best to provide all those details at once so you can save time from sending letters back and forth. Once you have those documents ready, just send it to each one of the credit bureaus where there is a discrepancy. So if there is a discrepancy in just one, then just send it to that one. If there's a discrepancy in all 3, then send them each a separate letter. You can either send this by certified mail or first class stamp. Either way, it should be able to get you the same results. Also, do not sign it with a wet signature. It is okay just to type out your name. Now, this is just the first step of disputing. This process can go on for multiple rounds of letters and lots of back and forth. But this will get the ball rolling for them to remove the late payment if it is indeed incorrect. If you want all the fine details, specific reasons, and step-by-step process on how to dispute, I do have a course down in the description. This is also only a fraction of what it would cost if you were to hire a credit repair agency. Now, the next strategy to remove late payments on your credit report is by doing a goodwill negotiation. There are typically a few ways that you can do this, either by calling the lender on the phone, sending an email, or via mail. So let's just say that you're banking with Bank of America. All you would have to do is to talk to somebody from customer service and tell them your situation. This is where it's okay to explain why you were late if you were late, and how you've been a long-time dedicated customer, and if there's any possibility that they can remove the late payment if you were to sign up for automatic payments. I would only recommend going this route once you have at least 6 months of on-time payments. So this way you have a little bit of a track record to show that you're back on track on paying on time. Whenever you are calling on the phone, just make sure that you are polite, patient, connect with the person, and show a little bit of emotion on how the late payment is hindering your ability to get a home, a new car, or whatever lending that you may need. The reason why this could work is that it works well for both parties. The lender can assure that they will have on-time future payments, and on the flip side, you won't have to worry about remembering to make on-time payments by the due date. The key thing to remember is that automatic payments are only good if you have money in your bank account to cover the transaction. So let's just say that you bank with Navy Federal and you have a late payment on a Navy Federal credit card. If your primary checking is going to be consistently low or does not have any direct deposits, then you're going to be seen as higher risk. So with this step, this is not a guaranteed way that the late payment will be removed if you were to sign up for automatic payments. This is just a request that they will. So if this does not work on the first try, you can continue to keep trying just with another customer service rep. Because everybody's a little bit different. Some are a little bit more willing to help than others. So if you're not successful on the first try, then just try again a few days later. The next strategy that you can use is kind of similar to a Goodwill negotiation, but instead of calling up the customer service rep, this is by sending an email directly to the company's CEO. Alright, you're probably thinking like, how in the hell would this actually work? The truth of the reality is that I've seen many people actually try this and have had success. But just keep in mind that the CEO is most likely not the person who's responding to this email. It's most likely their secretary or assistant who is screening their emails before it even gets to them. So the way this works is almost the same way as you were to try to dispute this through the phone with a customer service rep. You would tell them about your situation, how you face some financial hardship, and since then you've been on track with your payments. And you would hope that in goodwill that they would delete this late payment since it's been hindering your ability to get new financing. The way to find CEO emails is by going through this website called ceoemail.com. It's simple as that. Not all emails on this website is going to be accurate, but it is definitely worth a try. What's the worst that can happen? You already have the late payment, so the worst part is already there. It's only upside from here. Now the third method is by sending a goodwill adjustment letter directly to the lender. This letter is going to be very similar to the previous two since you're basically asking for forgiveness. Throughout the whole pandemic, there has been many institutions that will be happy to grant goodwill adjustments if you have a good payment history, good relationship with that financial institution, and a great sob story to connect it to. Some companies can care less, for example, Capital One, so your mileage may vary depending on the lender. Within the past 2 years, a lot more financial institutions are more lenient in removing late payments if it was connected to Corona. But remember, goodwill letters work best if you have 1 or 2 late payments at the most. Because if you have multiple strings of late payments, unless you have a good story to connect it to, it's going to be very unlikely that a financial institution is going to be removing them. Again, you want to make sure before you start doing this is that you have a track record of positive payment history of at least 6 months or so. Don't be asking for forgiveness if you have a late payment 2 months ago and still late to this day. I do have a letter template for a goodwill letter that's worked for others, so you can purchase it down in the description. All you would have to do is just plug in your information and just send it out. The key thing with goodwill negotiation or requests, either it be on the phone, email, or a letter, it's going to be very emotional based. You really want to get through to them by saying how you have been loyal to the company, what causes you to be late, and the reason for the person on the other side to empathize for you. Now, before you send out this letter, this is going to be a little bit different from disputing with the credit bureaus because no need to add your driver's license or proof of address, but what you can do is by adding your account number so they know who they are addressing. To find the address to send a letter to is just by doing a quick Google search. For example, I just searched for Chase mail address and it has brought me to a page where I can find the address to send letters to. I'm pretty sure that most lenders out there will have something that you can find on Google. Now let's talk about how to remove late payments on closed accounts. So let me state out the obvious. Since the account is now closed, trying to negotiate automatic payments, emailing information to the CEO, and sending a goodwill letter will not work since you do not have an active account with that lender. There's really no benefit for them to do this because there's no more of a relationship between the two of you. So the best course of action for this route is to try to dispute the late payment directly with the credit bureaus. Depending on what the credit bureaus come back with, if they were to verify this information as correct, you can always follow up and try to figure out how did they verify this information. So the idea behind Credit Repair is that the credit bureaus will have to show you how they verified that information. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, they would have to investigate and respond to you within 30 days once they receive a dispute. Now, sometimes the credit bureaus do not respond to your letters right away. Sometimes the letters may just get lost, or sometimes they just don't respond. If this is the case, this is where you would have to bring it up to a higher power, which is the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is a government agency that keeps financial institutions in check, and this also includes credit bureaus. You would then just file a complaint with the CFPB about how XYZ credit bureau is not responding to your inquiry. This will get the ball rolling a little bit quicker, just in case if the bureau is not responding to your first letters. Also, with closed accounts, it's probably best to dispute late payments that are usually longer than a year. Of course, the longer the better. The more recent the late payment, the more difficult it will be to get these removed. To be completely honest, late payments can be one of the most difficult things to get off your report, since the information and proof that is available is pretty spot on. But you'll never know if it will work if you don't at least try. Now, late payments do get better with time. So let's just say that you have a late payment that was 6 years ago, you can still get a mid 700 credit score, but a newer late payment is going to impact your score more in the short term. Alright, so before I go, I do have all the links in the description that I talked about in this video. If you guys got some value from this video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. This really helps support the channel. And if you guys want to hang out with me some more and learn more about credit, come check out these videos over here.